Ja thinks he's still fine in the West. And if you saw that game the other night, in Philly, he was pressing late, tried to dunk on Embiid, and he got muffed at the rim. And for those on YouTube, this will be a really good thing. For those on the audio, you're just going to have to, maybe hit up that YouTube channel to kind of find out what I'm about to show the audience here. But I think I know why. I mean, speaking of fine, I think I know why Ja was kind of pressing there late in the game. Yeah. Yeah. For the audio only audience, there is a screen grab of a woman that was in the audience, and Ja is standing right next to her. And it was right after he tried to yam it on Embiid and got muffed. And you can kind of see the look on his face. You can kind of see where maybe that inspiration came from. Just saying, I'm not trying to put anything out there, but if you're interested, she only had 3K followers on IG last time I checked. Just saying, I'm not going to give you the at. Go do your own deep dive like I did to go find it. Anywho, so moving on into the West, the LA Clippers and the Sacramento Kings had a hell of a game last night. A lot of points were scored. 238.5 was the total. Did you take the over? And if you took the over, good Lord, you were good money by the third quarter. Like, this game was absolutely insane as the Kings and the Clippers had a game, the second highest scoring game in NBA history. And yes, it was a double overtime game. Let's go ahead and get this box score up here. 176 to 175. That's a real score. Yes, it took double OT, so, little skewed. But in the sense of the Kings beat the Clippers by scoring 176 points, and PJ and Kawhi both played. PJ and Kawhi were both out there. This wasn't no load managing. They beat the Clippers at full strength, although, strange enough, Bones Highland and Rocco didn't play. Not sure what's going on there with Ty Lue's rotation, but, the fact of the matter is that as we scroll down this box score, I mean, look at these points, dog. Like 40 plus in damn near every quarter in regulation. No team scored less than 34 points in any quarter in this game. Look at this offensive rating, 136.9. Like, this was absurd. Look at this box score, and the Kings have a thing going. Now, I've been kind of insinuating light the beam here, and, I've been very high on the Kings, but I always thought like the other shoe was about to drop. I can tell you this. If the UK boys and De'Aaron Fox and Malik Monk are going to put up 40 pieces on Kawhi and Pandemic P, maybe they ain't going away. Like, I just assumed, and I think most of you would have agreed, that the Kings were just going to fall back down to earth at some point during this season. Cool story, Mike Brown. You got them hoping. Cool story, Domantas Sabonis. Cool story, De'Aaron Fox finally living up to the reputation that you came into the league with. But ultimately, they were going to come back down to earth. They're not here for play. I don't know what's really happening here. Like, I went and rewatched the game. I really can't figure out why they were able to score so easily against a team that has Pandemic P and Kawhi Leonard, but this really happened. Malik Monk with a 40-piece. So not only are you getting De'Aaron Fox with a 40-piece, Domantas Sabonis had a double-double. He fouled out, though. But then you have Malik Monk off the bench with 45? 45 for Malik Monk. I mean, Lakers could have used that, right? I mean, maybe they wouldn't have had to made all them trades at the trade deadline if they would have just held on to Malik Monk. All right, anyway. So, but yeah, I mean, look at what was happening here in regards to, okay, so we see the 40 pieces for De'Aaron Fox. We see a 40-piece for Malik Monk, Domantas Sabonis. Like, they got 176 points, and Harrison Barnes only contributed 11. He only took 6 shots. So look at this shot distribution. De'Aaron Fox took 27 shots. Malik Monk took 24 off the bench. He took 24 shots. Oh, man. Sometimes the NBA could be really weird. And wait, who knew Matthew Dellavedova was still in the league? Delly, still in the league. Interesting. Shout out to Alex Len. Alex Len's still in the league. There's a lot of dudes just kind of hanging around in Sacramento. But let's get to the main thing here with the Clippers. I'm not going to say this loss is an admiration. I'm not going to get into that because clearly we need to take the Kings seriously. But in regards to, you had Kawhi Leonard putting up a 40-piece with 6 threes. 40-piece with 6 threes, 16 of 22. efficient as hell. 16 of 22, 6 of 9 from 3. This probably, and I don't want to jump out the window, but off the top of my head, trying to keep up with the Clippers games, and even amongst that, the games that Kawhi has actually played for the Clippers, that's probably his best performance. His best performance offensively. He's had some lockdown defensive games where he's just been that Toronto Spurs monster, but it's been very small sample sizes. But in terms of offensive, 44 points, 16 of 22 from the field, including 6 of 9 from 3. Perfect from the line. Only 2 turnovers. 3 steals, 2 blocks. Like, that might have been the best Kawhi Leonard game. I'll have to go back and rewatch some other games just to clarify, just to confirm. But yeah, man, the Pandemic P, 34 and 10. 34, 10, and 5 for Pandemic P, 9 of 18 from the floor. So 50%, 5 of 8 from 3. So you're getting 11 threes from your 2 best players, and you're getting highly efficient play, like maybe 62-ish% between the 2 of them from the floor, and 63% roughly from 3 from your 2 best players, and you lose? That's got to be gut-wrenching. That's got to be gut-wrenching. And let's not forget Russie. Russie came in with a double-double off the rip in his debut. He was a starter in this game. How do we feel about that? I'm not too sure how I feel about that, to be quite honest with you, because a double-double for Russie is great. But they're slotting him in as if he's the third option. And we saw how that worked in Lakerland. He's not a third option anymore, not on a good team. And the Clippers are for sure a good team, but do they take a step back if they're getting Russie in here and ingratiating him and making him a third option? Like, I'm not saying Bones Highland is the be-all, end-all, but I think between him and Norm Powell, who also had a good game but off the bench, 24 points, 6 of 14 shooting, 5 threes, 5 of 8. Like, there's guys here on this roster who can, and I'm not saying Norman Powell's a point. I think Bones Highland is a point, and I think he can be that guy. I think he can start for this team, but they go out there and get the big name in Russell Westbrook, and allegedly Derrick Rose could be on the buyout market soon as he's finally, realizing that he needs to get away from the meniscus tearing taskmaster Tom Thibodeau. But in regards to this Clipper thing, and let's be clear, as I go here to the screen, they did not want him initially. And here's the report. Los Angeles Clippers were internally against Russell Westbrook until Paul George pushed for it. So this is a Pandemic P thing. This is Pandemic P using his powers again. Player empowerment or player entitlement? Go get my man, Steve Ballmer. My man's wants to pull up. He's been bought out. Go bring my man's in. Is this what we're looking at from a perspective of Pandemic P? And let me get this. Yeah, now we can get this good. So for those on YouTube, you can read along. I'll read it for the audio audience. Quote from your man's Brian Windhurst. The Clippers are pretty much admitting that Paul George drove this decision. And from what I understand, they were internally against it. Paul pushed for it publicly and privately. Kawhi supported it. And they looked more into it, and they were like, quote, well, there are some things he could potentially help us with. So that's kind of the thing here, where you get enamored by what Russie can do still to this day on the court. Here's the problem. And we'll go back to the box score with Russie. So he comes out there and he gets a good ovation from the LA crowd. 7 of 13, 53%, 54% for the floor. That's a good percentage for Russie. That's probably, low-key one of his better games shooting-wise this season. 1 of 4 from 3. You expect that from Russie. Can't shoot threes. 14 assists. We know at his peak, at his apex, he can stat stuff with the best of them. So 14 dimes. 5 boards. 7 turnovers. That's also the Russie that we know. So 7 turnovers. He fouls out. He shoots 1 for 4 from 3, but on the bright side, 14 dimes, 5 boards, 7 of 13 for the floor. But here's the thing, like, you have Paul George, Pandemic P, and you had the board man, Kawhi Leonard. Do you really need a traditional point guard? Both those guys can ISO it or initiate the offense. So you kind of have 2 point forwards who can kind of initiate the offense. Do you really need a traditional Rondo-like point guard? Do you need a traditional, Steph type point guard? Like, I don't know if you need a guy just to bring the ball up to get the rock to PG or Kawhi. Like, I understand it's a luxury if you can have someone who can take a point guard off the dribble and set up PG and Boardman to work off of curls, pin downs, all that type of stuff. Like, yes, that's a luxury. I just don't know if Russie is the one who can really get that for you in a big spot. He could get that for you against the Kings, because let's be clear, as much as De'Aaron Fox, is a beast offensively, defensively, what he was thought to be hasn't really lived up to it, right? So I'm not going to say based off last night's performance now, Russie is going to show that he's back to being Russie. I'm not going to jump out that window. The problem is when Russie's a PG at his best, that means he needs the ball a lot. That's what the 14 dimes here says to me. Like, he had the ball a lot in his hands. Pause. And here's something that I was kind of looking up and trying to figure out is if you look at Russie's stats, and let's go to his usage rate. You want his usage rate to be in the, I would say, low 20s at this point in his career. But in me looking this up and realizing what Russie's usage rate was as a Laker, I came across this here. By the way, his usage rate as a Laker, 28.8. That's way too high, because average for a ball-dominant point guard is low 30s. So he's right at 29. That's too high of a usage rate for Russie at this point in his career. Based off one game, last night with the Clippers, it was 23.4 usage rate. That's ideally where I would want Russie at this point in his career. But in looking this up, I saw this number, 41.7. That is the highest usage rate in the history of the National Basketball Association. I thought it was the beard. I thought the beard at 40 had the highest usage rate. I had no idea that Russie had usurped him prior to him even hitting 40. 41.7, a 42 usage rate? Dog, do you understand? Luka at his best is 38, 39. Beard at his best, at his most ball dominant, was a 40. Russie was a 42? 42. I don't think you understand. I had no idea that is the highest, and I had to look this up to confirm. This is the highest recorded usage rate in history. Move this over so people on YouTube can check it out. Bruh, are you kidding me? 41.65 in 2016, 2017. There's the beard with 40. 40.47, so we round down, that's 40. But Russie at 41.65, 42 usage rate? Bruh. And look at the names on here. I mean, Russie's got two of the top five. He has two of the top five highest usage rates in the history of the NBA. Bruh, Kobe's here. For you Kobe stans. Kobe's has the fourth highest ever. No shock there. Jordan at 6. No shock. 86. Yeah. He was ball dominant. But, played against plumbers. Luka, there's your man Luka, 38.22. So 38's the highest Luka can do as of right now. He was trending to hit 39, and then Kyrie came. So he's holding on at 38, but it was getting close to 39. Giannis is up here a lot. How come we don't talk about that with Giannis? Giannis has two of the top 10 highest usage rates of all time, including this year. This year, if the season were over today, he would have the third highest usage rate of all time. Of all time. Embiid's up here a lot. AI, 0102. That was the finals year, right? 0102? Yeah, 37.7, 38 usage rate for AI. MVP year. The baller formerly known as Boogie, DeMarcus Cousins, 36.5, 37 for Boogie, 2016, 2017. Like, there's some names here that really stand out. Jermaine O'Neal. How is Jermaine O'Neal have a 36? That had to be... Yeah, that was Pacers O'Neal. That was Pacers Jermaine O'Neal. My man, Carmelo. A lot of people would have assumed he was a lot higher on this list, but the 24th, his highest usage rate. 2012, 2013, he had a 35.6, 36 usage rate. And all the fun we know is Boogie, DeMarcus Cousins up here a lot. Stack. Wait, hold up. Stack is up here. Jerry Stackhouse. 2000, 2001. 35 usage rate. All right, let's think. Was that Wizards Jerry Stack? Pistons? Nah, but he was sharing the rock with Allen Houston. Maybe after Allen Houston. This is clearly after Allen Houston. Wait, was Stack going that crazy then? Let's see. Let's go ahead. Sorry to veer from the topic of Westbrook, but I'm enamored by stuff like this. Stackhouse. Yeah, he was a Piston. He was an all-star too. I would hope so with that high of a usage rate. Let's see. How many points was he dropping? Pull that up. That was the next to last year in Detroit. Oh, you dropping 30 a night? Good Lord. Wait, Stack? When did Stack drop 30? Is this for real? I don't remember Stack dropping 30 a night, dog. 30? Played 40 minutes a night. Took 24 shots. Yo. Yo, Stack getting 30 points on 24 shots. Yo, he shot 40% from the floor. Come on, man. Come on, Stack. Yo, Stack, I don't want no problems. Hold on. Let me be clear. Let's be clear. Because Stack will never hesitate to throw hands. Stack, I got no problems. I don't want no smoke. It is all good. But I'm just saying, you dropped 30 a game on 24 shots. I would have went to my grave assuming Jerry Stack never dropped 30 a night. 30 a night. Who else is on this team? Oh, this is a rabbit hole. Sorry. But yeah, I need to know who was on this Pistons team. Let me get this out the way. Go back here. Who was on this team? They finished fifth. Also, they finished last in the division. They were 32-50. Oh, God. Wow. Look at this. Let's see this roster. Chutke Atkins, Dana Barrows, Judd Bushler, Cedric Sabalos, Mateen Cleaves, Michael Curry. Not that Curry. Cornell David, Eric Montrose. Oh my God, this roster is horrible. Mickey Moore. Shout out to Mickey Moore. Billy Owens, he was old at this point. Joe Smith. Ben Wallace. Young Ben Wallace. That might have been, was that his first year with the Pistons? Probably one of his first couple of years. Because he was a Wizard before that. Or Bullet, he was a Bullet before that. John Wallace, Jerome Williams, JYD, Junkyard Dog, and Big Nasty, Carlos Williamson. Yeah, I see why he got 30 a night. Because who else is taking shots on this team? Who else is taking shots on this team? Wow, that is a blast from the past. Sorry about that, but that was amazing. Okay, so the problem that we're looking at here is, Russell Westbrook has 2 of the top 5 highest usage rates of all time, and you're now going to bring him in and ask him to be a third option. I'm asking, can Russell Westbrook actually be a third option? Is this now a big 3 for the Clippers? Are we now ready to jump out the window and say, Russie, PG, Boardman, that's a big 3? I'm not willing to say that. Like that to me doesn't sound like a big 3. I really would like Bones Highland to get some run here. Or even Terrence Mann. Like Terrence Mann was huge these last couple of seasons when they've had injuries. Like there's no more Reggie Jackson. He's gone. Like there's no more Reggie Jackson. Like I don't know why Terrence Mann or Norm Powell can't be that guy. So it's going to be, I don't know what's up with the Clippers, man. Like Tyronn Lue is going to have to really get into his bag to navigate this. And everyone says we want Russ to be Russ. I don't know why y'all keep saying that. Because what over the last 3-4 years, what team has actually won from Russ being Russ? That's the part where I'm having a hard time figuring out from, the standpoint of, well, what do you want Russ to do? Well, we want Russ to come in and be Russ. Well, why? In the year 2023, what logic is it? What good logic is it to have Russell Westbrook be Russie? Because if we're really going to parse this and break this down, Let's go over here, get off the usage rate stuff. Let's go ahead and break this down here. Like these few seasons, like his last couple of seasons in OKC, not great in terms of team performance. Like that's the thing. If you allow Russie to be Russie, these are the results you're going to get. Like you're not going to get wins. You're going to get high performances. You're going to get stat stuff, and you're going to get all that type of stuff. But the 1 year in Washington, you know, you're looking at numbers that are, let me see, get this lined up here for y'all. In Washington, 22 points a game. What's that, 11 assists, 12 assists? Even he led the league in assists that year, right? So 22 and 12. It was the Wizards. The team was trash. Then he went to Houston. 27 a game. 7 dimes. 6 rebounds. So he almost averaged a triple-double. I mean, if you round up, he averaged a triple-double with the Wizards, and he was, you know, high level 27, 7, and 6 with Houston. And then he goes to the Lake Show, and in 2 seasons, he was 17, 7, and 6. Sorry, 17, 7, and 6. Those are still really good numbers, but none of those teams have won anything worth a damn with Russie. And the Lake Show had to bring him off the bench for him to really find a rhythm. So why would Ty Lue and Pandemic P and assumingly Boardman now be under the impression that, oh yeah, let's bring Russ in and let Russ cook. Like with Russell Wilson early in the year with the Denver Broncos, let Russ cook. They're letting Russ cook. My thing is, why would you let either Russ at this point cook? It doesn't make any sense at this point in 2023 to let either Russ cook. And we saw what had to happen with the Denver Broncos. I mean, if Russie for the Clippers keeps playing around, I don't know where he goes from here. Who's going to take him next year? I don't think this team spins the block and brings Russie back. This team will make the playoffs. This team will be a factor in the playoffs. But the problem is, are they now inheriting their detriment as they're right now a 5 seed? A team with Kawhi Leonard and Pandemic P in the West is a 5 seed. They have the Sacramento Kings and the Phoenix Suns who are about to roll out KD in front of them. Where's the movement coming? Unless you think the Grizz are going to tank, I don't know where the movement comes if you're the Clippers. Right now, they will play the Suns in the playoffs. You don't want that smoke. You know, I put a clip out there on the socials. It did pretty well about, you know, I think the Clippers could be tailor-made to defend against the Phoenix Suns because they have Pandemic P and Kawhi Leonard. But now you bring Russie in there. Russie's not a defensive player. I think someone on the timeline tried to put a clip of Russell Westbrook playing defense, and that shit was from like, you know, SD days. That shit was standard def. Like that's how long ago. And I was like, yo, dog, look how long ago you had to use that clip of Russie playing like good defense, not just getting a steal, because that's not a barrier of playing defense, just actually playing good man-to-man defense. Like, I don't know. They have a lot of teams in front of them. They have Dallas right behind them. They're only half a game up on the Mavericks as we speak. The Pels are not that far behind, and we don't know what the hell's going on with Zion. The Zion thing keeps happening, and I keep asking y'all, you know, I'm not saying he's a bust, but I mean, there's got to be another word. There's got to be another word, because if it ain't a bust, there's something. There's something. And then you got Golden State right there in the play-in. And, you know, I'm very high on the Lake Show. I like what they did at the deadline. I know they got a lot of ground to make up, but in terms of the loss column, they only got 3 games to make up to get to the 5 seed. There's only 3 games in the loss column separating them as the 13 seed from the 5 seed. That's doable. They're more tailor-made right now with the addition by subtraction of losing Russie and bringing in D'Lo, even though D'Lo got hurt the other night. Like, the Lake Show are more in a better position to get it cracking than I think right now the Los Angeles Clippers, because you always have to figure out what are we going to do with Russie. You always have to navigate the Russell Westbrook thing, and I think the fact of Darvin Ham and AD and LeBron and that brain trust and the Lake Show kind of coming together and say, yo, dog, we just need to rid ourselves of this problem. He's an enigma. He's a guy, he's polarizing. We need to just focus on, we need to make a run here over these last 20 plus games and see where the hell how high we can get to in these standings. And I think being able to bring in all those Timberwolves, the best Timberwolves outside of Ant-Man into the fold, Mo Bamba, and being able to get Pat Bev up out of there and being able to get Thomas Bryant apparently as well had the disease of me, got him up out of there. I think this is a huge swing for the Los Angeles Lakers being able to flip this roster over on the fly. But the Clippers, they had a chance here at the deadline to get better, and I thought they did with Bones Highland. And I thought that was like, ooh, that was a pretty good pickup on a throwaway from the Denver Nuggets because, Mike Malone was done with him. But I don't know. Clippers are a big three. Are the Clippers a big three with Russie? Y'all know how I feel. Tell me what y'all feel. Moving over to the Eastern Conference, the Atlanta Hawks make yet another coaching move. First, it was Lloyd Pierce a couple of years ago, first-time head coach. Now it is Nate McMillan, seasoned vet, ex-player, also about the paint. And some are insinuating that it's Trae Young. That Trae Young is the one that's, getting people about the paint. That is now two coaches that allegedly he has jettisoned. And I'm here to say that's most likely true. I'm not going to sit here and jump out the window and say it's officially all on him in terms of making these types of calls. They got Landry Fields, Knicks tape legend, now in the front office in terms of the GM role or the VP. He's one of those fancy trumped up titles. But Landry Fields is in the mix now over there. And I'm here to ask you a question. What we're seeing with Russell Westbrook, are we destined to see the same thing with Trae Young? Hear me out. This is a point guard that can stat stuff with the best of them. Gaudy numbers. Look at the box score. Let's pull up his numbers here. And let me pull up the screen share. Even this year, 27 points and 10 assists. Gaudy numbers, right? For his career, 25 points. So you know what we do here, 26 points. So he's giving you 27 and 10 this year. And over his career, he's giving you 26 and 9. Gaudy numbers, 44% from the field, 35% from three. That's low. For a guy that's thought to be a bootleg Steph Curry, 35% from three is really low. And even this year, it's even lower at 33%. Right? So this is a guy that if you just go off his numbers, he's amazing. Right? You go off his numbers, he plays a lot of games. The three-pointers comes in bunches. He always takes 6-7 threes a game. The percentage, though, for someone who, again, was out here, remember they was proposing a 4-point play in Summer League, and he was out there chucking it up and making them? Well, where's that guy at? Because over his career, 32% his rookie year, 36%. So okay, now he makes the jump. Nope, back down to 34, then 38. Okay, so okay. Then back down this year to 33. So a little erratic from three, where every other year he goes crazy. 36, okay, yeah, that's good. That's now league average, by the way. But at that time, his second year in the league, that was not league average. Even the year 38%, that's good. But you got Damian Lee out here at 40%. You know what I'm saying? Damian Lee, he's out here at 40%. You were supposed to be the next Steph Curry. Instead, you're looking like great value Steph Curry. So which is it? And that's two coaches. And if you look at the Hawks as a team, they go get a dub last night? Yeah, last night in their first game since the firing of Nate McMillan and what's the guy named? Joe Prunty? Yeah, Joe Prunty. He's an assistant coach that's bounced around a lot. This team is just not that good. This team is not that talented. Now, when you look at what they have, they bring in DeJounte Murray, and let's get back to usage rate real quick. So, usage rate, I spoke about in the last segment with Russell Westbrook. There's the baseline to me as a basketball analyst, 30 is about where it starts to get to, okay, you're ball dominant, right? Trae Young last year was a 34 usage rate. So that's up there. Correct? Okay, because we see guys, all-time guys are 38, 37, and into the 40s is extreme. So 34 is upper tier, top tier in this league in terms of usage rate. They go and they bring in DeJounte Murray, all-star point guard. You see how they have him now listed here as a shooting guard. That wasn't always the case. He was thought to be a point guard who could then have Trae Young move off the ball and become a shooting guard. Somehow that's been inverted. I'll let you decide who made that call. But anyway, DeJounte Murray comes in. So you're thinking, all right, well, Trae Young, DeJounte Murray was a point guard and an all-star caliber point guard. They can share the rock. So 34 usage rate last year for Trae Young. This year, with a all-star point guard playing next to him, forcibly at the 2, he only dropped to a 33. The hell's happening, bro? Give up the rock, bro. Give up the rock. Stop playing games with the rock. That's why this team can't go nowhere. And, he's been fighting these rumors of his involvement in the alleged dismissal of Nate McMillan. And I'll just come and pull up some sound here that they caught him, he pulled up to practice, to shoot around or whatever, and they had to pull up on him. And this is what he's saying. On YouTube, I won't play it because there might be some copyright stuff, but I'll play the audio while you look at the still.
I got a call. I actually saw it from Woj. I was waking up from a nap and heard about it. And
took a nap after he made the call and then saw Woj with it?
Now, but obviously, I know what this league is, and Nate knows. We've talked since then, had a conversation and stuff like that. So,
I'm sure that conversation wasn't awkward.
I got love and respect for Nate and the type of person he is and things like that. So it's not the last time me and him are going to talk. I talked to all my coaches that I've played for. So
he still talks to Lloyd Pierce?
I appreciated him for being part of that run that took us in this franchise further than it's been. So you should get a lot of love for that
fraudulent
alone,
run.
What he's done for us and this team and this organization. So I got nothing but love for him. And it's a tough situation, but it's part of this league. And but I got nothing but love for him.
So here's the thing, that magical run that they talk about, and it's been referenced a lot. I do a lot of radio out in that part of the country. Shout out to my boy Greg Larned on ESPN Radio. I do weekly hits on there, and the Hawks are in that base in Tennessee. There's a lot of spillover of Atlanta Hawks fans into Tennessee. And I was trying to tell them while it was happening that don't buy into the hype of this run to the Eastern Conference Finals. Look at the path they had in beating. Look at the path they had to take. They beat an overrated Knicks team who were a fraudulent 4 seed, the most fraudulent 4 seed of all time, or at least of my lifetime. Then they went and they had to beat a Philadelphia 76er team that had Ben Simmons imploding before our very eyes. That's who they beat. They didn't beat the Sixers at their highest capacity. They had a fraudulent 4 seed where Knicks tape fans were running around holding pep rallies after one victory. One victory, they wanted to have a ticker tape parade down the Avenue of Americas. Okay, down 8th Avenue, they were going to spin the block on 33rd and 8th and do, a ticker tape parade. If not through the Canyon of Heroes, if not through Avenue of Americas, 33rd and 8th, they were having pep rallies. Grown-ass men having pep rallies after one playoff win. That's the team they had to beat. So, of course, they went and beat them. Then Ben Simmons, the enigma that he is, self-destructing in front of all of us. They beat them. And then what happened when they faced a real team? They got destroyed because that's who they were. They were exposed as who they were. So the fact that the franchise and the organization believed the hype of that run is problematic as hell. Like, how could you look at that team and say, oh, yeah, let's run this back? Not, oh, my God, we just tricked our way into the conference finals. Let's see if we can finally sell high on some of these pieces. I came into this season saying, yo, trade Trae Young. And people called up ESPN Radio, yo, this dude don't know what he's talking about. I'm like, okay, all right. Y'all keep putting this team around. Y'all keep building this team around Trae Young and let me know how far that gets you. I tried to tell you in real time that fraudulent run to the conference finals was just that, fraudulent. You didn't want to believe me. You wanted to believe the hype. John Collins and he posterized Embiid, put on a T-shirt. Okay, he's going to keep doing that. Has he done it since then? DeAndre Hunter. Y'all jettisoned Cam Reddish and gave the bag to DeAndre Hunter. Now, while some of you casuals might think that's still a win, y'all don't know Cam Reddish. And hopefully Portland realizes what they got and they'll let him cook. That's who people need. Let Cam cook. Instead of letting Russ cook, let Cam cook. Anyway, but look at this roster. John Collins is supposed to get traded every year. He is perpetually in trade rumors every single trade season, every single draft season, every single off season. Clint Capella is old as hell. He is limited in what he could bring to the table. I like Jalen Johnson a lot. I've been big on him. AJ Griffin is okay. He's a rook, so you can't really expect too much, at least right now. But I think Jalen Johnson, Okonwo is another enigma. I wouldn't put too much into that. But this roster is mid. Look at the mid of this roster. Their big trade deadline acquisition was Sadiq Bey. They still got Bogdanovich. I would ask for a buyout if I'm him, but, to each his own. DeAndre Hunter, for someone drafted that high and thought to be a defensive specialist and someone that could develop offensively, I haven't seen that. Have you? I haven't seen that. So Trae Young has been skating. It's two coaches' fault now that they haven't been able to advance deep into the playoffs outside of one fluke run. When does it become Trae Young's fault? They brought in an all-star caliber point guard in DeJounte Murray, and you're still out here with a 33 usage rate. Y'all think I'm bullshitting. Let's go ahead and find it. Usage rate. Can y'all see that on YouTube? No, let me slide the screen over. Boom. Usage rate. 33 flat. It was 34 last year. 34.4. It was 33 the year before that. And 35 his second year in the league. Ball dominant. With him as a point guard, someone who by the assist numbers you think is a point guard, but no, he's just ball dominant. He gets his assist because he has to set people up. It's stat stuffing. It's very much like Russie. It's very much like Russie. It'll be gaudy. The numbers will be great. He'll be an all-star again in the future because he's going to keep putting up the numbers that make you think he is one. Can you win with Trae Young as your number one option? The Atlanta Hawks keep trying to tell us that they can. And they keep, referencing that fraudulent run, that fugazi run to the conference finals as Exhibit A. When we have all this other evidence to the contrary that says, nah, bro, y'all smoking. Y'all smoking that good dope in the A. So which is it? Are we going to keep buying into the hype of these numbers of Trae Young? And these metrics that show he's bad defensively? Are we just going to say, well, look, man, he's giving you 10 assists a game, 2 years in a row. He's averaged no less than 8 assists a game since he's come into the league. That means he's a point guard. I would love for someone who watches basketball and understands what it is to be a point guard to tell me that this means he's a good point guard, the fact that he has so many assists. Because as someone who knows basketball and watches basketball and analyzes the game and rewatches games and studies it, that's not the only marker of a point guard. It's part of it. It's a piece of the pie. I would say maybe 25 to 30%. It's assist in terms of facilitating. But it's not the be-all, end-all. But if you let, Hawks fans and if you let, the timeline tell you, well, Trae Young is him because look at these assist numbers. I don't know, man. I wish y'all luck. I wish y'all luck on that Trae Young thing. But I think it's going to come to a head of where it's going to have to be him at some point. I would trade him. I am on the record. I would trade Trae Young. Because I think you could go further with DeJounte Murray as the lead guard in that backcourt than Trae Young. Because look at this stat right here. In 2019-2020, Trae Young became the 5th player in NBA history to average at least 29 points and 9 assists in the season. There's only 5 players in the history of the NBA that have done that. So again, stat stuffer. But is he a lead dog on a chip? Lead dog on a champion? No. I mean, the whole thing was supposed to be him and Steph, right? So I know this is unfair in terms of chips, so we're not going to worry about that. But let's compare him and Steph. How many years has he been in the league? We're doing this on the fly. So 5 years. Can we get Steph's first 5 years? It's probably gonna be a lot better for Trae because he's been given the ball. But let's just go there. Let's just do this on the fly and see if this works. We should get a year-by-year breakdown. All right, yeah, that's not gonna work. Let's get the first 5 years for Wardell. First 5 years. Okay. Okay, so from 3. Okay, here we go. Off rip. From 3. 44%, 44%, 46%, 45%, 42% from 3. Off rip. And Trae Young's supposed to be the bootleg version of that, and his highest is 38%. Steph was over 42% off rip. Okay, clear difference. And assist numbers, they got better as time went along. 6 assists, 5 assists, 7 assists, 8. Well, 8.5 is 9. 9 assists. But I think we have to focus on the 3-point percentage here because Trae Young was thought to be not necessarily the next Steph Curry, but a Steph Curry, a version of Steph Curry that a team can also build around. And the main thing that Steph has revolutionized the game on is his 3-point prowess. And Trae Young has nowhere near the 3-point prowess. Like, Steph has never shot less than, well, this was the year he got hurt. He's never shot less than 38% from 3. And that's with him taking 12 threes a game. That was just 2 years ago in an injury-plagued year, much like this year. He's never shot less than 38% from 3 in a season where he's played a lot of games. So I don't understand. I understand the versions of it. He's fair-skinned. He has, he's short. He's shorter than Steph. He's weaker than Steph. I don't understand the comparisons outside of that. They're both light-skinned and they both are slotted to be point guards. So if the Hawks want to continue to run this and run this trash narrative that Trae Young is him and we could build around him, then they're going to end up where they're always at. Outside of that one fluke year as the 5 seed, this is where they're always going to be. 8 seed playing. This is where they're always going to be, around 500. They had to win last night just to get the 500. So this is where they're perpetually going to be when they have Trae Young as your number 1 option.